Geometry node escape connects geometry node attributes to any sort of input value related to an object. Enable the add-on. The camera focal is set to 0 because now I'm driving the value from here. I'm changing the color of the light from my geometry node inside the cube object. So now you can activate and deactivate any sort of parameters. Here I'm driving my camera position from the point inside geometry node. I'm going to create a geometry node modifier for this cube, and I want to drive the focal length of my camera from this attribute. So I'm going to create an handler, which I call for convenience camera focal, set my cube as geometry node mesh, select the target object, which is my camera, then copy and paste the full data path. Enable the add-on. The camera focal is set to 0 because now I'm driving the value from here. So now let's see how to change some color. Create an handler. My geometry node mesh is my cube. Color type of attribute, name it call. This time I want to drive the color of my light, so I'm going to copy the full data path and paste it here. Switch to render to see the result, and now I'm changing the color of the light from my geometry node inside the cube object. Now I'm going to create another mesh object. This time I want to change a Boolean attribute for the light temperature. So create store named attribute. This time I want to connect to different objects the icosphere geometry node attribute and the light temperature switch. Copy full data path and paste. So now you can activate and deactivate any sort of parameters. To work, geometry node escape needs a real mesh where you store your attribute. If you use a point, it won't work. Convert this point in a vertex and will work. So you need a real mesh to store the named attribute in. I'm going to move my point inside geometry node with an animated noise texture. So I'm going to store another attribute, this time is for vector, and the value is the point position. So create another handler, cam position, select once again the cube, vector type, point, and the name is pose. Select my camera. For the position, I'm going to copy and paste X, Y, Z value. So here I'm driving my camera position from the point inside geometry node. And you have a real values for the transformation of your object. I use 60 FPS to run smoothly with my animation, and here you can find the parameters that limit the refresh of the data. If you leave this value at 0, you get the maximum sample and the maximum computational. Right epsilon is like a threshold to refresh the value. One thing you can't do is to drive the Blender UI, for example, because it's not directly connected to an object. So this is geometry node escape, and I hope you like it. Bye.